Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. It's often not about finding easy answers or tying things up neatly with a bow. The process of standing up for yourself isn't always clean or straightforward. Today in the rLounge, we navigate the gray areas. Up first, what do you do when the person you're supposed to trust is also the one who's putting your future at risk? Someone opened a credit card in my name and ran up a $6,000 bill. My mom told me to just ignore it. Turns out, she's the one who opened it. Looking for my next steps here, as I'm still in college and 3 hours away from home. Long story short, I applied for a job for my last year of school, which required a background check. When I found out I didn't get the job a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't too shocked, as I'm sure a lot of people applied for the spots. What did shock me was when I got a letter on Tuesday from the employer which said information in my credit may have been used against me. It then listed a charged-off account and multiple missed payments on an account. I've never been a day late in my life for the one credit card I've had since I was 18. When I went to pull my credit, I saw the charged-off account, which looks like it was last updated in June. Immediately, I figured my credit had been stolen and called my mom. She said if I didn't open the account, just to ignore it, and if I get sued, tell the judge an unknown person stole my identity. That didn't make any sense to me, as anyone could say that about anything whenever they get sued. When I told her I was probably going to talk to the cops about it, she said I wouldn't want those people in my life. My roommate said it sounded like my mom opened the account and doesn't want to get in trouble for it. I was able to speak with someone in the fraud department for the card, and they got me some information about it. Several cash advances from an ATM about a block from my mom's house, along with a couple of stores in my hometown. I told my mom all of that and asked her to come clean. She refused and got mad at me for accusing her of stealing my identity. Finally, I told her I'm going to the police about it, and she blew a gasket, saying she needed the money and to mind my own business. She said I can't call the police because they might revoke her probation, felony battery charges from last year, and she might end up doing time in county. I can't really sacrifice my future in this case, and while I love my mom, I'm devastated she'd do this to me. I think I should go to the cops, but I'm feeling some guilt about it. Update, October 1st, 2024. Update. I ended up filing a police report for identity theft. The day after I did it, I got a call from an investigator and we talked for about 20 minutes. We also talked a little bit about the job I applied for, which is federal, and he said their background investigators would definitely be pulling his report for the identity theft. Because of that, I decided to go through with charges. Last week, the investigator called me back to confirm I would be willing to testify against my mother, though he didn't think it would come to that and would likely end with a plea. I told him I would. Yesterday, my mom got arrested on her way home from work. She has an initial appearance this afternoon, but on her previous felony, it looks like a petition to revoke has been filed with a date later this month. I feel like she's going to snap like she's never snapped before on me when she gets out, probably later today. I don't plan on answering the phone. Update 2, October 25th, 2024. My mother had her petition to revoke hearing yesterday, and from what I understand, the investigator for my identity theft case made a statement and her probation was revoked. She got remanded into county jail immediately. My sister was freaking out all day yesterday, trying to get my mom's affairs in order since we have no idea when she'll get out. I haven't heard from the investigator since the call a few weeks ago, but I take it as a good sign he made a statement and my mom's probation was revoked. Another good thing is that the account came off of my credit report. My credit is back above 740 with no negative marks. I feel like I've at least gotten some justice since she's back in jail, even if it isn't specifically for identity theft. Now let's check in with the community for a reaction or two. First up, I love my mom. Well, she doesn't love OP. Next up, that's exactly what these people count on, that their victims love them and won't want to see them get in trouble. It's why addicts and fraudsters' first choice of victims is their own family members. It sounds like you tried every way possible to resolve this without involving the police, but when your credit and future job prospects are on the line, it's hard to see any other choice. You're absolutely right in protecting your own future, OP. Family or not, it's serious when someone opens accounts in your name, especially with the history of charges you mentioned. And the fact that your credit report is back in good standing shows that standing up for yourself really paid off. Stay strong. You didn't do anything wrong. Have you had anyone betray you like this before? Share your stories with us in the comments below. Up next, when it comes to family drama, a well-timed clapback can be your best defense. The day I introduced myself to my mother-in-law of 3 years. My husband and I have been married for 3 years and have known each other since high school. His parents are divorced, and when I was younger, I briefly met his dad and stepmom when we went to prom, but never met his mom and stepdad because he did not live with them. As adults, we got back together and eventually married. However, he has been no contact with his family for about 6 years now, so they were not invited to our wedding. Instead, he and I had a small wedding with only about 15 people, including the wedding party. He even surprised me by taking my last name and calling my parents mom and dad, because they essentially raised him from age 14 on. It was perfect. Fast forward to about a week ago when I got a comment on a year-old video I posted publicly. For context, this video was a photo of me and my husband as teenagers showing our ages, and then a recent photo showing our current ages with cutesy music and some hearts. It was just a little thing I threw together and shared. The comment read, "My son," insert his full name, "was born in 1996. Basic math says that he is 28, not 27. Are you stupid or don't even know how old your husband is? What a wife." What the F? Obviously, it was apparent that this was my mother-in-law, who I obviously have never even met. I was so pissed off and immediately responded with, "Hi," insert her name, "nice to finally meet you. Since this is our first intro, let's get a few things clear. My husband's name is first plus my last name. He took ours at the wedding you were not invited to. Good job on getting his birthday right, though. Nice to know that even though you have not given him a birthday card, message, or gift in the last 18 years, you do in fact remember when it is. Don't worry though, his family has been spoiling him." Oh, and this video was posted in 2023, so basic math would say that if this is a year old, he was a year younger. For more recent photos of your former son, feel free to follow. Was I too petty, or just the right amount? For context, my husband thought it was perfect and went as far as to like the comment. Update. So many of you asked for an update if she did reply, and she basically did for about an hour, and then deleted her comment after my mom replied. This is my first time posting on Reddit, let alone here, so I didn't know if her 1 hour reply was relevant or if anyone would even read this post. So my mother-in-law did in fact reply quite quickly with, "Why don't you ask your husband why he did not get any birthdays? He made his life miserable with how bad of a kid he was." Before I could even respond, my mother did because I had told her what had happened. Shortly after the comment from my mother-in-law was deleted, my mom said, "Since we are doing introductions, my name is blank, and I am the biological mother of me, and chosen mother of my husband. That bad kid you're referring to is often the highlight of my day. He is and always has been an absolute gem and role model for my younger 2 children who now call them their brother. Perhaps instead of blaming a child for your actions, ask yourself why all 7 of your children have stopped contacting you. Were they all terrible, or were you simply an unfit mother? Basic math and probability would point to the latter. I will admit I have often wondered why, my husband's name, made the decision to completely write off the person who birthed him, but I have respected his decision always. Now seeing you act like a spoiled child, I applaud him for it. So I will tell you what I tell all of my children. If you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. Publicly attacking any children online is disgusting, especially when you birthed one of them. Please know if this behavior continues, my son and daughter will continue to keep you in the time out that you earned. And yes, I say my son. Considering you raised him for about 10 years and he has been part of my family for 14, I believe that I officially earned that right, and you have lost it. If one day you decide to grow up and make amends with him, as I hope you one day will, please remember that you are the cause of all of this and he has no obligation to forgive you. If you would like to continue this conversation in a more private setting to not further embarrass yourself, here's my phone number. And yes, she really put it. After reading this and thanking my mom, I went back to show my husband and her comment had been deleted. Luckily, I did take a screenshot so I could save it for future reference and possibly frame my mother's message. My mom did not get a message, but who knows? Also, if I'm not supposed to put updates in comments, let me know. Still new to posting. You didn't just let her take a cheap shot without setting the record straight, and your response was calm, clear, and to the point. Plus, a reminder that your husband has a real family who supports him. It's no wonder your husband loved your response and that your mother-in-law deleted her comments after getting the message loud and clear. What do you make of this? Next up, a demanding customer, impossible requests, and a stubborn refusal to accept basic facts. Entitled customer wanted me to follow her home. First time posting here. This happened a few days ago and I still can't believe it. I, 25 male, work at a garden nursery. It's a decent size with a shop in the middle and outdoor plants on benches and racks around it, with a car park. Enter a lady in her 60s and her brother. They drove into our nursery. We have a 100-meter or so driveway through the plants, as the owner was walking along it. They beeped at him and she started yelling at him about selling her a dead tree to plant for it to sprout. I don't know either. Anyway, not a good start. They park and walk around for a bit. The brother asks me all sorts of questions and wanting discounts on plants. No discounts unless they are old plants. And starts basically interrogating me about my life and what I'm doing for work, which I just say yes and no to without actually telling the truth. I finally get rid of him and am walking through, checking that no plants need water. The lady then spots me and starts to yell at me from about 80 meters away. Now, some people do this, and I go to them even though it annoys me that they basically are calling me like a dog. Maybe they are handicapped and it's hard for them to walk. Well, this lady barely speaks English and is rambling something at me, and I keep asking her to repeat herself. Finally, I understand she wants to buy a tree. It's a big weeping cherry. It's 2 meters tall, 2.5 meters including the pot, which is 90 liters of soil, and really heavy. I take the price and walk with her to the shop where I ask her if she'd like it delivered. Now, we have a big truck for deliveries and it goes out once a week. We never do free deliveries. They don't cost much, just to cover fuel and time for the driver. Anyway, she says no, she doesn't want it delivered and says, my car, pointing at her SUV. I think to myself, there's no way that tree and massive pot is fitting, but okay, whatever, and put the sale through. I get a tree trolley and bring the tree to her car. Her brother is in the driver's seat, and she goes and gets into the back seat of the car and sits there. So I say, where do you want me to put it? She looks at me and says, put in your car. You come follow me. I was like, what? And she repeated again. I literally just laughed and said, what are you talking about? She kept repeating it louder and louder. I told her, no, I'm not delivering this tree. You said you didn't want it delivered and didn't pay for delivery. She then says she didn't know she had to pay and how much it was. I said where to, and she eventually said a suburb, 15 minutes away. I told her what it was, and she said, okay, follow me home, and I'll pay you then. I said, no, that's not how it works, and it'd be delivered Friday when she pays, and to come back inside the shop. After some more time yelling instructions at me and talking to her brother in another language, I put the tree next to the shop, and she came to keep yelling at me to deliver the tree, and she'd pay when I followed her home. I was done. I yelled at her in the same tone she'd been yelling at me. I can't. My car cannot fit that tree. Only the truck can. I can't drive the truck. It is literally impossible for me to deliver the tree even if I wanted to, which I don't. After a bit more, she finally realized it wasn't going to happen. Now, she had this weird thing, as did her brother, where they wouldn't talk or interact with the female staff members. So when I took her inside and the other owners are a couple, was at the register, she wouldn't talk to her. I told the owner what was happening and that this lady needed to organize delivery and went to walk off. This lady then screams at me, excuse me, because I was going. I spun around and snapped, she will get your delivery details. She will help you. Well, the lady basically just walked off back to her car and they started driving off. We had no delivery payment, number, address, and even a name. I had to run out to their car and stop them. She wouldn't give me her address, and when she finally did, when I looked on Google Maps, it didn't exist. So she had paid for a tree and we had no way to get it to her. The following day, the brother rings up wanting to know about the delivery. It's Thursday, the day before deliveries. I told the work group chat what had happened, so everyone knew what was happening if these people came back. Anyway, one of our female staff members answered the phone and tells the guy everything I said and how they need to pay. He wouldn't listen to her, kept interrupting her and complaining. It ended up with her telling him to F off and hung up. She did this because she thought we would refund the credit card and never serve them again. However, they'd paid in cash, so another staff member had to ring him back, smooth it all over, and have him come in with his van and collect the tree. I really hope they don't come back. Now let's get a community comment real quick. This was an insane roller coaster of a story. How are people nuts and entitled? They came in screaming and blazing instead of properly behaving like adults, purchasing something like a normal person, then demand you leave your job and drive this massive tree they knew they couldn't fit in their own SUV. If the store is allowed to ban people from purchasing, they are the ones. Shake my head. Wow. It's wild how some people think the rules don't apply to them just because they're buying something. It's like they assumed you'd drop everything and deliver a massive tree because they decided they wanted it. If only life were that simple. Do you have a similar story of entitlement? Let's hear it. Thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.